Oh. That hydraulics going. What's up, people? How you doing? Having a nice day? I hope you are. I know I am. I got a chance to spend some time with my family today. I'm off today, just like I said yesterday. And I am prepared to read to you another fascinating and mind-blowing and scary story from this book right here. You know what this book is. I'm pretty sure you do. If you don't, here it is right here. Missing 411, A Sobering Coincidence by none other than the man himself, David Paulides. Okay, today's story, like I mentioned in my last broadcast, is going to be about Fred Grossfield, or Grossfield. I think it's Grossfield. I always end up getting those names wrong. I hope I didn't butcher the name. I really don't, not to, dishonor the memory of this man right here and to the family members. I apologize if you're watching this video. I didn't mean to get the last name wrong. Okay, so it's Fred Grossfield. Anyway. Okay, now Fred Grossfield went missing on 11/30/1965 in Boston, Massachusetts. He was 19 years old when he vanished. I like to say that word because it sounds more better, because that's the way it's read and that's the way it is written here in this book. Okay, this is one of the earlier cases in the book. You will find that the circumstances of the victim being found were highly unusual. Fred Grossfield was raised in Connecticut. His dad owned a haberdashery. Okay, he owned a haberdashery in Ridgefield. Father and son had a tight bond. That's a good thing. Always good to have a tight bond with your dad or even with your mom too. Okay, and the family was very, very proud of Fred. After high school, he was accepted to Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT of all places. Very, very good. Very good. Okay, where he studied mathematics. The school has an address in Cambridge, but is located just on the western side of Boston, directly on the Charles River. Never heard of that one. But okay, the school is known as a haven for brilliant minds, and apparently he was one of them. And that's very, very good, very good. Okay, let's see here. Okay, on November 30th, 1965, Fred, a sophomore, was playing bridge with friends until late in the evening, when he told his friends that he was walking back to his dormitory. Okay, there it is again, when they decide to walk back to wherever they are going to be laying their head by themselves, therefore causing them to actually get taken by whatever this thing is that's doing it, which is, of course, toying with our minds. Okay, it is throwing all this extra stuff out there with all these cases so that they can fuck with our heads and let us know that they can't be stopped. Okay, so they're bragging on what they know they can do. That's just so wrong, and I'm telling you, it's not a human. So anyway, okay, hold on, I need to get some light in here. It's very dark in this area. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, much better. Okay, now I can actually see. All right, that way I can probably read a little faster. Okay, where was I? Okay, on January 29th. Wait, hold up. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. I was playing bridge at dormitory. Okay. This was the last time that anyone saw the student alive. The search started almost immediately. There were almost no new leads developed for months. On January 29th, 1966, Israel Grossfield, Fred's father, uh, closed his store and told the press that he was spending the remainder of his life in search of his son. I love that part. Okay, he stated that it was the most important thing in his family's life. Israel actually traveled to Washington D.C. and enlisted the investigative help of the FBI, which was the wrong thing to do, because if there is no evidence of a crime, there is no need for the FBI to be there. When they do show up, all they say is we are monitoring the investigation. So they're taking notes, creating profiles, and sending them back to the home office, in Washington, D.C. Okay, but I mean, it hasn't been said yet that they found any evidence of a crime, but I can tell you right now, there is no evidence of a crime because they just vanished without a trace. There's never any evidence to state that someone killed them, strangled them, or whatever, picked them up off the side of the road. They just seem to just disappear, off the face of the earth. And when they do that, they're brought back and found like months and months, maybe years later, near a body of water or in the woods somewhere near a tree or a log that's lying on the ground. Just all different kind of scenarios. Okay, let's see. This has to be one of the earliest cases, of its type that I hate these air pockets. Air pockets that appear in your chest. Anyway, okay, get back on track here. The earliest cases of its type that the FBI has in its files. Israel told the press that his son would never run off or disappear voluntarily. There was a major search effort to locate Fred. There were many rumors, from suicide to kidnapping to a general belief that foul play was at work. There were no clues until the morning of February 8th, 1966. An article in the Telegraph on February 9th, 1966 had these details. Police said a woman walking her dog along the Charles Esplanade on the walking along the Charles Esplanade on the Boston side of the river, reported finding a body after her dog noticed hair sticking out of the ice and began barking. Earlier in the same article were these details. The body of Massachusetts Institute of Technology student Fred Grossfield, 19, who disappeared from his dormitory November 30th, has been found frozen in an upright position in the ice of the Charles River across from the MIT campus. It was reported that 4 police officers had to chip the ice from the body. It was located 15 feet from the Boston Bank near Dartmouth Street. The medical examiner performed an autopsy. A February 10th, 1966 article in the Morning Record had the details. A medical examiner said Wednesday that Fred Grossfield, a Massachusetts Institute of Technology student, was a drowning victim. However, Dr. Michael Luongo said he had determined what caused the 19-year-old Richfield, Connecticut sophomore to drown. It was the opinion that Fred had died on or around November 30th. Fred's dad was on his 5th trip searching for his son when the body was found. He positively identified the body at the mortuary. The police made statements that the Charles River froze solid on November 30th. It is very uncommon of a body to be frozen in an upright profile, sticking out of the water. The medical examiner made no mention of lividity or rigor. They did state that the body had to sit out in their office for a while as it thawed. Fred was missing for 70 days. and he still had hair on his head. While this may be attributed to the freezing conditions, it wouldn't be considered normal. The real question wasn't addressed by the medical examiner. How did Fred end up in the water as he was walking back to his dormitory? He had made that trip hundreds and maybe thousands of times. He knew the route well. Yeah, see, that's another thing. If you know how to get from point to point, which would be from wherever you are at presently to your place of rest, how is it that you end up in another area if you said you were going home? Now, did something catch his eye? Did he hear the sound of someone calling for help? Did someone take over his mind and guided him to that area where he was found dead? So many questions and so many theories as far as how he could have ended up in the water if everybody knew he was heading back home to his dormitory to go to sleep or whatever the case may be. That often runs across my mind with these cases. And it just boggles the mind that he had to have met up with something or someone that would indicate what happened to him. Okay, was it something? Did he see something that scared him? Did he see something that dragged him away? There was no sign of lividity or rigor on the body. That means his body. It's like, okay, everybody knows after a couple of weeks or maybe a couple of days, your body goes to rigor mortis, which means your body's going to be stiff in whatever position that your body is in. And then there's going to be the part about lividity, where the blood settles to the very bottom, depending on the position of your body. Now, as far as the position of his body, it was upright in the ice. So I would imagine, like in the last story I talked about with I don't know why I can't remember his name, and I read it yesterday. But anyway, my last video where they was talking about how the body was bobbing, like a bobber. Okay. Todd Guide. They said his body was upright in the water, but there was no ice around him. But he was bobbing like a bobber. So that means something had to been either holding him down, or all of the blood from his body settled into his legs or into his feet. They didn't mention that part, but I would imagine the density of the body changed as the blood settled towards the bottom of his body. I don't know. That's just my educated guess, because David Paulides says that after a while, the blood tends to settle. Like say if you were found dead on your back, that means the blood, you're gonna see it patches on your back. And that means that the blood just settled at the bottom of your body. If you were found in that position. So I would think if the body was found upright, I would hope that would mean that the blood settled down towards his legs, and that made it dense enough for him to be heavier in that area. So that means the legs would be so heavy that they would just stay down while the body is sitting up there. The lighter portion of the body is sitting up in the ice, and I would think that's the reason why Todd Guide was found that way as well, because he was looking like a bobber in the water. But like I said, I'm not a forensic analyst, and I'm also not a coroner, and I am not a pathologist. But that seems to be what the problem would be as to why a person's body is always sitting straight up like that in the water instead of it being flat, face down or face up. I don't know. But like I said, think about this. You told your friends that you left that place, that you were going to walk home, and they knew that he knew exactly where to go. If you lived in the area almost half your life or all your life, you know exactly where to go. That means you know how to get from point A to point B with no problem. And you either know a shortcut or you just know it's a straight shot, so you just walk. But somehow, some way, in the middle of all that, you veered off of your course and you headed towards that river or lake. Next thing you know, you end up dead in that lake. How does that even happen? You knew where you were going, but somehow you ended up going in that direction to go towards the lake where you met your demise. But like I said, there is something more powerful at work here, people. It is a being of some sort where they can control the mind. They have the powers of either Lucy, or they have the powers of Siler, or anybody that from that TV show Heroes. That's my analogy towards all these cases. You have these TV shows about these people with these weird powers, and these movies about these people with weird powers, where they can use 100% of their brain's capacity, or they just have these special powers where they can either fly, levitate things with the palm of their hand, or whatever the case may be. That's what I'm thinking. They're able to lift a person up with some type of mental telepathy, and they can control the movement of the body with their hand. So it's mind to palm telekinesis, and they use that to move the body, or they use their mind to control the movement of that person as it's being levitated into the air, therefore making it very impossible for a dog to find their scent. I'm just saying, these are the things that you get from reading these books. Okay, it may seem out of the ordinary and way out there, but the evidence tells you all this. There's never a scent to be found when the cadaver dogs are looking for the missing person. Okay, most of those people, they just vanish without a trace, and they're never found ever again. But when they are found, they're found hundreds of miles away, years later, or months, or like 2 weeks later, face down in a dry creek bed, or in a creek bed, or in a river, or in any kind of body of water, with no sign of death on their body. This is what I said. That's what I said about this yesterday. If a person is found dead in a body of water or around a body of water, and there is no cause of death on or in the body, to me, that says that whatever did that was able to kill that person by not touching them somehow. So I started thinking about the scanner effect. If you ever seen that movie back in the 80s, or even in the late 70s or mid 70s, they're able to do all these crazy things with their mind. They can start fires on the top of someone's head. They can make their hair catch on fire. They can make their head explode. So like the Henry McCabe case, I know I have talked about that many a time, because that is a perfect example in all these cases. It's almost like with that. Okay, let's go back to that. Okay, with the Henry McCabe case, every single case that David Paulides talked about, there's never any evidence to indicate who is actually doing this. But they leave little small criterias, in the area where these people are found, to state that, okay, this is what I did to kill that person. It doesn't show that how they killed him, but it just shows that they did kill him. But there's never any evidence of how they killed him. You just see a dead body there. Okay, now with the Henry McCabe case, it's almost like they slipped up on purpose, letting us know that, okay, this is what caused him to die. But even if you do hear that noise, you still will not be able to figure out what did it, or you would never even you could never even grasp what this thing is, because even if you try to figure out, you never figure out who did it or what did it. They're playing with our minds, people. They are using these characteristics and these scenarios to confuse us, to keep us, hanging by a string, trying to figure out what did this or why they're doing it. Okay, and they know that we'll never be able to figure out. They're just that smart enough to throw in all these different scenarios in all these cases when it comes to finding the dead bodies or the remains. Just like Jerry Atadero. This dude was that little boy was found 700 meters up above the area where he was last seen, where that lake was, when he was asking those fishermen about were there any bears in the area. And all they found was the top of his cranium, a tooth, one lone shoe that was pristine, like as if it just came off the showroom floor. No dirt at all after 4 years. It wasn't weathered at all. And then you find his pants, which was turned inside out, and one of the legs was ripped on the sweatpants. And you found his sweater. Okay? But there was never any blood found at all. So whatever ate that little boy took everything. It ate and drunk everything. It drunk the blood and left no type of residue behind. No brain matter, no muscle fragments, nothing. It just devoured it. It's almost like he picked that little boy up, placed it all the way down into his mouth, past his throat, and just bit down on the top of his head, leaving nothing but the cranium itself. And it probably licked all the blood clean. There was no evidence of blood anyway. Even because you're gonna still leave some type of fluid behind, some type like residue from the blood behind. You're gonna see like a pink tinge or like a light red tinge of excess blood that was mixed in with saliva, if that was the case. But there was nothing. It's almost like someone just took the cranium, the top of his cranium, washed it off with some water, but they made sure that the water was never left behind. It's like they thought of everything down to the last pagoda. They probably had like a little bucket where they could put all the blood, all the excess blood in the water. Because if you washing the blood off, you're not gonna make sure. They made sure that the blood didn't get on the ground. They made sure the blood fell into something that they could take with them, and they made sure that there was nothing left. I mean, they thought of everything. What criminal do you know can think that far ahead, where they would make sure there was nothing left behind? I know sometimes they wear gloves to make sure there's no fingerprints. They wear booties on their feet, those little paper shoes where it covers up their shoes so they won't get no footprints or dirt on their shoes. That way, they thought of everything possible that would lead back, to keep any kind of evidence leading back to who it was. So what did they do? They put a little bit of evidence out there to let them know there was something strange that happened to him, whether it be Henry McCabe or Jerry Atadero. Now, as far as the Henry case, you hear that growl in the background and some man saying stop it after that. Okay, they did that on purpose to let you know that, okay, we'll give you a little bite that you can nibble on, but you still will never figure out what did it, because you're too busy saying, oh, that's not real, or it could have been a mountain lion. They know that you're going to say, oh, it was obviously a mountain lion. What mountain lion do you know sound like that? No mountain lion sounds like that. No bear sounds like that. Nothing on this planet, which is one of those wild animals, sounds like that. Could it have been Bigfoot? I don't know. Could it have been the Jersey Devil? I have no idea. Could it have been a werewolf? I have no idea. Maybe, but I have no idea. There was no video of it. All you heard was the growl. So whatever that creature was, he was able to use his mind to cause some sort of like mental trauma to the body, where it attacked the nervous system, causing every nerve in his body to like just react like in a pain like manner, causing him to moan and groan in pain. Probably every cell, every nerve in his body was in pain. And he was in so much pain, whatever that creature was elevated the pain that he was feeling, causing him to moan even louder, because it turned into like a high pitched moan. And then after that, they found him dead with no cause at all. I mean, I'm talking about there was no sign of trauma. There was no sign of a reason why he was moaning in the first place. So maybe I'm thinking they also have the reason to heal somebody. But they healed that person for the wrong reason. They healed the body so that there won't be any evidence of any kind of trauma in the body or in the brain. I'm just saying, that's just my personal interpretation of what may have happened to Henry McCabe. Because you hear him in distress, you hear him moaning, you hear that growl. So obviously, whatever was growling was the one causing his pain. And maybe obviously that I said before, like, werewolves they think like humans, or those type of creatures think like humans. They have the mind of a human, maybe, because it could have been, I don't know. But all I know is that they have the ability to think like a human, which is the reason why they're able to keep the evidence from being found. Okay, but at the same time, they have an innate, extraordinary power, ability to cause death without touching someone. That is amazing, yet creepy at the same time. I wouldn't want that power, but whoever found out they had that power went on a killing rampage because they knew they could never get caught. It was like a rush. And apparently, it's either some next level serial killer from another dimension or another reality or even another parallel Earth, or it's some sort of creature that has the mental capacity of a human, but also has a mental ability that goes way beyond human consumption. Okay, just like Einstein said, if we were able to use 100% of our brain's power, we wouldn't need we wouldn't even need our bodies. Okay, so I don't know. I honestly don't know, but the books, the evidence, the profiles, all that stuff leads you to think like that. Sorry, my tongue keeps jumping when I'm trying to talk. So if you're the type of person that can think in that area, that can eradicate all logic, and start thinking about the paranormal, strange phenomenon, stuff that you would never think would be the reason why this stuff is happening, you can come up with a theory, a scenario in your own head. You can actually solve the case. The only problem is there's too many people on this planet that would say straight up, it was a person, it was my son or my daughter or my sibling, whoever was kidnapped or abducted by somebody. Not somebody, something. Okay? Even aliens. Okay? There have been stories where aliens will abduct a person. They lift off the ground in a gravity beam, take them somewhere, drop them off somewhere miles away from where they were last seen, and that's it. Sometimes I even heard of stories of them wearing somebody else's clothes, which is what happened with Stephen S. Kubacki. Same thing with him. He was wearing someone else's clothes and found a duffel bag near him that wasn't even his, and it had maps in it. So that was their way of saying this is how you're gonna be able to get home. They left you a map, that way you can find your way home. I don't even know how to read a map, but I could, I guess look at where I'm at and then try to follow a road that will lead back to where I am. Yes, but still. Anyway, whatever is doing this, people, it is not human. And if it is, that human does not belong here on this earth. That human is from another reality, another dimension, another parallel earth, or even from another planet. I mean, there may be humans on other planets out there in the Andromeda galaxy, or maybe any other galaxy. Who knows? There may be life on other planets somewhere. I know this to be true, but the government, they spend too much time thinking that we're not going to know what's going on unless they give the word. We don't need the government to tell us that all this stuff is real. We see UFOs all the time. People have been abducted by aliens. We already know that they're out there, but they still try to act like they're not real. Just like with the Black Knight satellite. They're going to be talking about that on Coast to Coast AM tonight, where the government, the NASA is trying to say is space debris. What kind of space debris do you know looks like that, has that type of is built the way that it's built? It's not built to be just debris. It ain't nothing that we know of. That thing's been orbiting our planet for 30,000 years or more, and they're still trying to act like it's space debris. Okay, what space debris gives off radio signals? But anyway, I'm getting off track here. My whole point about all this, my friends, there is something going on out here in these parks, in these national parks, in these national forests, in our rural areas, and even in our urban areas, mainly in our urban areas. It's happening all across the globe. I mean, look at this here. The man's got a map on the back of his book, and you can see these little black lines. Those black lines are where these people are disappearing. Like he also has another map of clusters in the U.S., the northern U.S., on both sides of the United States. But directly in the middle, there is nothing. It's a blank slate from top to bottom. Okay, it's all happening over here in the California areas, and then over here in the other northern part of the areas. From Florida all the way up to freaking wherever, to Canada. Okay, there's something weird going on here, and we have to start realizing that it is something more than just humans. I'm pretty sure I've heard that there are creatures that lived on this planet way before us. Okay, and then you have your nature spirits. It's just mind-boggling that people on this planet keep saying that they don't believe in that stuff, or they don't believe they'll believe that a person killed their child, or just like the story about the guy I just read about. His mother, well, no, not him, but Tom Guibe's mother, saying that there's a killer walking around out there, that needs to be brought to justice. That killer is unseen. It's invisible. It is not a man. It's not a woman. It's not a human, period. It is some sort of invisible being that has an intelligence that surpasses our own. Even if they were to tell us who they are and explain why they're doing this, we still would never understand why. Because it is just so out there. Just like there was a woman named that was on. I listened to a Coast to Coast AM broadcast on YouTube last night, and it was this woman. I think her name was Gwen. she was talking about how she had an experience where she drove her car through like some dimensional portal bubble. Okay, and she ended up in on another world somewhere. And she said that she was scared out of her mind of the experience that she had, and she came back from it. But one of the profile points in a lot of these cases is about people whose cars are being left on the side of the road and abandoned. Like one woman whose window was down. She saw something, let her window down to see what it was, and then when they found the car, there was snow all in the driver's seat, but there was no woman. But they found her like feet away from her car. All her clothes was like as if they got stripped off piece by piece, and it was strewn about in a line. And then when they got to a certain point, they saw her lying dead over her child's bassinet, and the child was dead too. You know, so whatever this is, it has an innate ability to control minds and use us like puppets. Okay, they have the ability to puppetize us. They are able to control our minds and guide us to where they want us to be so that they can kill us, away from civilization, away from anybody that can see it. And they're very quick about it too. You could be standing behind somebody. You could be walking in a group and you fall back, like say you try to catch your breath. Okay, within seconds, when you turn around, they're gone. You start looking for them and they're never found. So they can open up doorways at will, pull you into it, knowing that energy cannot seen by the naked eye. You need a special type of device to do that. They pull you into this portal and suck you in, and boom, you're gone. And there's no way for you to get back unless they want you to come back. That's the reason why when a person disappears in between point A and point B for the next 2 weeks, and then after that, they find them in the water somewhere, miles away from where they were last seen. Hundreds of miles. None of this makes any sense. But at the same time, you can still think about, okay, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. If you start thinking like that in a paranormal sense, trust me, you are on the right track. The only problem is people look for proof. They look for evidence in those cases. As far as, okay, if it's that, how come there's no evidence to state that that's what it is? Because they don't want you to know who it is. They will give you a little bite for you to try to figure out what it is. You may say, okay, it's got to be this, it's got to be that, but they will never leave any evidence to state that's who they are. You know, that's the funny part. They want you to figure out who it is, as far as saying, okay, it's got to be that, but there won't be any proof. Everybody looks for proof and evidence to state that's what it is. Just like with UFOs, you got a lot of skeptics out there that say there's no such thing as aliens, only because they ain't never seen one before. Okay, but they are, and then when you see video, like a bite of video footage on the internet, and say, oh, that was doctored, that's CGI. Now, in most cases, you can tell if it is or not. But then there's the videos that are so raw, you can't sit there and say that that isn't real. I can tell you right now, I have been seeing UFOs for years. Okay, I seen some fly right over my head. I was driving down the street one time and saw a straight up disc on its side move across the sky in behind a patch of clouds on a full moon, you know, lit night. I saw it with my very own 2 eyes. I even saw one of those reddish orange orbs, you know, that was floating in the sky one time on the highway. And I looked at it, and all of a sudden it turned from reddish orange to white from top to bottom, like as if someone poured some fluorescent milk on top of it. And you can see the layers of that milk just running down the side and covering the entire orb. I've seen this with my own 2 eyes, people. So I know there are things out there that we can't fathom or even understand, but we know it's out there. That doesn't mean it's not real. Okay? And there's a lot of people out there that fear what they do not understand. Okay? The first thing they say, oh, it's demons. That don't mean it's demons. Okay? Or it's demonic. It may be a dark entity, but that don't mean that's what it is. You know, there are levels. Like you got your shadow people. I've seen them in my house a lot. I can feel them half the time. One was actually, I was sleeping on, I fell asleep on my couch and woke up to a shadow person staring down at me. And as soon as I really opened up my eyes, I mean, my eyes were open, but once I woke up, like, you know how when you, even though you got your eyes open, you see something and then you pop your eyes open all the way, it disappears because they don't like to be seen. They like to stay in the dark. But sometimes they do show themselves in the light, but That's only because they don't want to be seen by anybody. As soon as you see them and they realize it, they disappear. The unknown, people, that's what I do. That's why I'm here. This is what my channel is all about, the unknown. I'm not going to sit up here and just list the facts from his books. Okay, that's David Paulides' thing. He does the facts. I do the weird facts that I get from reading his books. And that's what he says. He wants you to read the stories and come up with your own theory of what this could be. That's all we have left after reading these cases. That's all we got. These people have suffered a terrible loss. They lost their son, they lost their daughters, they lost their cousins, siblings, friends, all that. But every single one always says, I know my son was abducted. Just like with the the D.O. Kuntz story. The father said straight up in an interview, I know someone kidnapped my child. I know my son was abducted. By what? All parents who want to bring their kids home, I understand where they're coming from. I really do. If my daughter was ever taken in that manner, I would want the same thing. But I'm not going to sit up here and say, I know someone kidnapped my child, or I know my child was abducted. I do know that there's something strange going on out there, and that's where I would go on. I would not say, I know. I'm not going to say, I want them to search for this person who stole my child, who took my child. I'm going to say, I want you to tell me what you feel this thing is. If it's something so out of the ordinary that we can't fathom it, I want you to tell me anyway, because that's my job. That's what I'm here for. That's what I do. I investigate the paranormal. I investigate the unknown. Okay? That's why I have my channel. That's why I'm here for you guys. You know, I want you guys to get where I am. I'm not saying that you aren't, but we need to get away from all this logical thinking, because that's not what's going to solve these cases. Thinking about what this is really about. If we had classes on folklore and earthly history that date back to thousands of years before we even walked this earth, we would be able to figure out what's going on here. We would be more knowledgeable about these creatures that live on this planet or can slip in and out of different levels of dimensions to get here. You know, we would be more better suitable in just being able to figure all this stuff out. But if we keep saying it was a person, we'll never figure it out. It's not a person. A person, it goes way beyond that. Way beyond. Even if it is, that person has an ability that goes way beyond human consumption. Okay? So, I want to welcome 2 more subscribers to my page. It's a total of 71. I'm looking for 100 subscribers. And each time I do my videos, I'm getting closer and closer. So I want to thank all of my subscribers and all my viewers. I love you guys very much. You are really doing me a big favor. You're giving me a chance to put my word out there, and you're giving me a chance to excel in educating people. So I want to thank all of my subscribers, all of my new people. Welcome, 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 welcome. I hope you're going to enjoy my page, because I will be posting a lot of videos about this book, reading the stories from word to word, so that you'll get a broader aspect of what's going on here in these national parks and everywhere else where this is happening. Okay, that's what David Paulides wants to happen. He wants you to read the stories. He wants you to get an idea of what you may feel is happening. If you can get past, it's a person that's doing this. It's not. No criminal on this planet is that prolific or is that thorough in killing someone to where you can do a crime, you can commit a crime like that with 100% accuracy. That has never happened before. It happened with one person, and that was Jack the Ripper, because they didn't have DNA science back then. All they had was theories on how a person killed this person. The facts, it was right there. But it took them over, what, 300-400 years? Or I won't say 400 years, but like 100, maybe 2 decades, maybe 3, I'm not sure. But it took them a very long time to figure out that it was a doctor that did it, because he's dead and gone now. He committed those crimes and got off scot-free because they couldn't figure out who it was. He was just that thorough and just that slick to where they could never figure out who it was. He was slipping in the night in like a black outfit and slip away and then go about his regular life. And he was never caught. Never. So But they, like I said, they figured it out. Now, hopefully one day they will figure this out too. I hope they do, because all this here, it can't go on forever. It may have been going on for hundreds of years, maybe at least over 1,000 years or more. But still, you got people that are disappearing without a trace all the time. Whole villages, tribes, just gone, because they're stepping into these portals, man. They're leaving this earth to go somewhere else, and they either can't get back or they don't want to come back. They are offered a ride of a lifetime. I'm not saying I would take that ride, but it would be intriguing. You know, who knows? But anyway, guys, that's my time. I hope you enjoyed what I was talking about here today. I will be posting more as usual, so keep your eyes peeled to the screen. Keep your ears open to notifications about the next video, because it will be coming hopefully sometime later on tonight, because I got some other stuff that I got to do. So always imparting. Aloha, mahalo, and ahui ho. Peace out, guys. Be safe, be blessed, and have a great day. Love you.